Hello guys, it's Alex Belov from White Crypto YouTube channel. I'm co-founder of Telegram Media. It's a media about cryptocurrencies in Russian and in English. And I also represent Beeminer immersion cooling installations for mining. And we have some cool updates for you. So let me first tell you about what's going on with the biggest immersion cooling farm in the world being built by Beeminer. And our Telegram team went to Singapore, where Anna, who is the CEO of Telegram agency, made an interviews with Tone Vays and with the founder of Lisk. So stay in touch to check our great news.
Probably the biggest immersion cooling mining farm in the world of 10 megawatts is being built by Beeminer Group in Tanshan Mountains. Check the process of construction here on the video. Beeminer is recognized as one of the first producers of immersion cooling systems for mining. They have quite a significant track record of building mining farms on immersion cooling throughout the world. You can check the video about mining farm in the desert on Beeminer's YouTube channel. They built a mining farm on immersion cooling in Iran. But now it's time for something special, so stay tuned with us to know more about the process of construction of the biggest immersion cooling mining farm in the world, now in the mountains.
Hello everybody, we are now at Blockshow in Singapore with Tone Vays, who is the most famous Bitcoin trader and Bitcoin maximalist.
Oh, I'm with you on the maximalist. I've been traveling too much, hard to really trade these days.
Yeah, and how do you see the market today? What trends do we see?
I am still skeptical on this big run-up that we had in 2019. Right now the prices have come down from the $14,000 area this summer. We're now hanging right around $8,500. I still think there is a little more downside, but I do believe the market will find the bottom between now and the halving. Where will that bottom be? My best guess is closer to the $5,000 area, and then we go up from there.
So do you expect rapid raise of price of Bitcoin after halving?
I actually don't. I'm expecting next year to be kind of slow and steady. I think next year will be more of a flat year, and I think that we will hover around 10,000, above 10,000, somewhere between 10 and 15,000 for the second half of 2020. That's my view right now. Once Bitcoin price does go above 15,000, I think it's going to go up and go up very quickly.
And what is your opinion on futures? Will it influence the price of Bitcoin in the long term?
I don't think so. I think the futures markets, the traditional futures markets, will only stabilize the price of Bitcoin more because more and more institutional money can trade against each other, and that creates a more efficient market. So I like the fact that the volume of the traditional CME futures is rising, and that's a good thing.
And what is your opinion on stablecoins?
I find stablecoins to be generally, they're useful for unregistered trading of cryptocurrencies, but in the long run, stablecoins are really meaningless. The US dollar has always been a digital stablecoin. 98% of all US dollars are digital. 98% of all euros are digital. We've had these digital stablecoins. Just because you weren't able to transfer them on Ethereum, it doesn't change the fact that we've always had them. And eventually, they'll just be the representation of the coins. I don't like the concept of stable coins. You either own Bitcoin or you don't. I mean, there's nothing innovative in a stable coin. It's just US dollars on top of Ethereum or on top of another blockchain that is probably insecure unless you're using the liquid sidechain of Bitcoin. That is the only underlying database layer that I would ever recommend to anyone to build anything on top of.
And on what exchanges do you trade? Which exchanges do you consider to be trustable?
It's not about trusting the exchange. It's about, do you want to give up your private key. You should always hold on to your own private key. I don't have trust of one exchange over another. They're all equally risky. They're all, unless it's a US regulated exchange. The safest exchanges, Gemini, Coinbase, probably Kraken, anyone that is licensed and is accepted by the US regulators are your safest, most trusted exchanges. Nobody wants to trade there. Everyone wants to trade on anonymous, non-KYC exchanges. And they have regulatory risk, they have hacking risk, though all exchanges have hacking risk. The risks don't change. I personally don't want to risk any of my Bitcoin on any exchange. My Bitcoin is too valuable. When I say I'm going back to trading, I'm gonna trade Apple stock and NASDAQ stock and make my money that way. I don't need to put my Bitcoin, which I value more than anything else I own, to someone else. I will hold on to that. If you are a good trader, you should not risk your capital on your skill set. So I will go back to trading regulated traditional assets, and whatever profits I make, I will buy Bitcoin with it and hold it myself.
Take the right approach of Tone Vays. Hello guys, we are now at Blockshow in Singapore with Kordek, founder of Lisk. Lisk is an open source project, a JavaScript toolbox for developers which enables them to develop decentralized applications on their platform. How are you, Max? Can you tell us more about development of your project?
Sure, I'm very good. It's now quite a long week already. Last day here in Singapore Blockshow, but it's been a very good week, so I'm feeling very great. Development of my project. Yeah, so it's going really good lately. Like, we're now 60 people in Berlin, actively developing the project further. And you might know that we have many different kind of products. We have our user interface products, Lisk Desktop and Lisk Mobile, which are wallets for these two platforms. And we have the SDK, which is this toolbox you mentioned, for developers to build their own blockchain, and with that, their own blockchain application. And we have, of course, also our own network, Lisk Core, basically, which has our own token, LSK, on it, and this is running now since May 24th, 2016, so since quite a while. And yeah, we are making great progress.
And how did you get involved in this industry? How did you know about blockchain cryptocurrency?
This was end of 2012. And I was always interested in computer science, electrical engineering, but also always had a bit like this, not a dream, but maybe a passion for like financial systems and like investment bankers and so on. And then I was reading about Bitcoin, and it somehow combined it all together into one package, and I fell immediately in love with that. It was just a great experience for me.
So Lisk was your first project?
No, so when I joined, I started with Bitcoin, and then I discovered altcoins like Litecoin, NXT, but these were too decentralized from a governance standpoint for me, and that means they couldn't really push on the business aspect. And that's why I started to look for startups in that field and discovered Crypty, which was a startup or project with one team actively pushing forward the project. And at one point they ran out of funds, and that's where my partner Oliver Beddoes and myself, we came together and said, okay, hey, it's really difficult to develop your own blockchain. We should simplify that, and that's how Lisk was born.
And quite a lot of dApps are developed on Ethereum. And what are the advantages of Lisk? Why should developers choose it?
Yeah, so what you mean is that quite recently there are many like proof of concepts popping up because we released this year our SDK as an alpha version. And the advantage is like you really are able to build your own blockchain. And this is something quite new. You can do something similar on Cosmos and on Polkadot in different languages though. In our case it's JavaScript. And that's something many companies and developers want, because if you're building like on an existing platform like Ethereum, you have much higher fees on the network, you have less, let's say, playroom because you're just building a smart contract in comparison to your own blockchain. So it's pretty interesting to see that people prefer nowadays like to have their own blockchain instead of just a DApp on an existing platform.
And what are the brightest examples of dApps built on Lisk?
Just recently, so there are like many proof of concepts popping up. Like one is Beeminer, like from a very long-standing community member called CC001, which is basically like a donation platform. Like you have a great project, you need some funding for it, but like on a non-profit angle more, then people could donate to that one through like a decentralized system in tokens, obviously. Another one is quite funny though. It has a beautiful user interface. It's Lisk Roulette. So it's a gambling app basically, but it's a really high quality app production by Musti, one of the guys who's taking care of the Lisk Center Utrecht. It's like a co-working space for Lisk enthusiasts in the Netherlands. So these are just examples of some proof of concepts being developed around that time right now.
Cool. And how do you see the market development, blockchain and crypto?
Market, do you mean like the industry or you mean the financial
both
aspect?
industry and financial aspect.
So financial, I don't know, it goes up, it goes down, I have no idea. But like industry-wise, I mean, they're like, it's bigger than ever in my opinion. Of course, like we had like the 2017, 2018 bubble, but there's so many interesting projects being built. And I would say slowly but surely projects with an actual use case, like not just some like crazy ideas, but actually companies working together with this technology to solve a problem. You know, like out of the like enterprise sector, like supply chain or e-commerce and so on, but also like the more what I'm burning for, like let's say startup-y world, like out of gaming with non-fungible tokens and so on. It's really interesting to see how the space developed over the years into an actual industry now.
Hope to see more successful projects on your platform. Thank you for your interview.
Thanks.